spider can. Spins a web any size. Catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang. Wherever there's a hang, you'll find a Spider-Man.
Hi guys, welcome to Trip Around the Multiverse with the man who wipes memories across the multiverse, C.Y. Chong.
And the one true Spider-Man, Kyle Charles.
Yeah. So we'll be obviously talking about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yes.
And as usual, we'll say nothing about spoilers.
Yeah.
Doesn't leave a lot to say.
No.
Other than praise, of course. Other than praise, there's not a lot to say.
Yeah, because as soon as you mention one thing about this film, it's a spoiler. So, yeah.
And we're going to assume people have not confirmed certain things online, right? For this section, anyways.
Yeah. But
great performances is the best way I can put it.
Yep. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Look, it was fun when it needed to be fun. It had levity when it needed to be. Cool special effects as well.
Yeah. And
characters made sense from certain points of continuation, right? The best way I can put it.
Yeah, but I think in some bits, the continuation bits they could have added on a bit. But
yeah. I think there's some that they look right. The only a fault of this movie is that it because it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
it wasn't long enough.
Yeah. This is a movie. I said an extra half an hour would have actually helped.
Yeah,
but it doesn't take away anyway. If that makes sense.
No, that it isn't good. It's just like you want more. Is what it is.
It's a film that could have justified being longer, but the runtime for it is good anyway. So,
yeah. Let's see. Let's.
It was,
okay. The story was well done and pretty good. Sometimes, you're like, right. So Peter is how old here?
16, 17?
At the beginning, they say he's 17, right? 17-year-old Peter Parker, right?
Yeah.
Because this was revealed in Far From Home, so no spoilers. So I'm wondering what the length of this movie is, timeline-wise, because obviously he's got his legal troubles, right?
I think that legal part's must be about a year long.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It's like it's like, okay, so that means, right? How long has his identity been out for? Blah blah blah, and he's going to college. Well, no, he's in his last year to go to college. Well, at the tail end of his last year to go to college, right? Before he goes to college. Mm-hmm. That's why I in my head, only because of the previous film was like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I just assumed the timeline of this film was about a year or two, like you're saying. Even though there's no confirmation, and it seems like it starts right after.
Yeah.
But as we know, legal things can drag on.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, it's good how they continued from the ending of the last film, right?
Yeah.
And then continued their own story, using sections that they needed. And kind of like not devaluing, but cleaning up things they didn't need to, because that's not where they were going with this story.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you know, the less important stuff that the hurdles they needed to jump, they kind of like pushed over some of them.
Yeah, some of them.
And then buried them.
Which kind of made sense, because like some of those plot points maybe like, did we really need to add on to them? They're sort of
exactly. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Is that all we can say? Is that all we can say?
I'm trying to think of stuff that we can say that are not spoilers. I kind of liked either. It wasn't really one of my complaints from the other films, but a lot of people's complaints were.
Oh
that,
yeah.
This is more of a Spider-Man dealing with Tony Stark's problems rather than his own problems. And in this, they didn't have any of that, so I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
even though I had no problem with it before, but I thought that was
this is more. This was like a big evolution of the character.
Yeah.
Movie where it's like he's no longer a guy that is. I don't want to say looking up to Tony Stark or all that stuff, right? But now he has to deal with his own issues, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And he steps up to do it. He doesn't need any backup he doesn't need like Tony Stark or the members of Tony Stark or Nick Fury or all them people to have his back. He's like, you know what? I do this. I got myself into this. I have to get myself out of this.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange was in it for a lengthy amount of time.
Yeah, more time than I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like
a Thor Ragnarok thing where he was just there and then disappears.
Well, I was like, he's there to help set the story in motion, and then he's there to clean up at the end.
Yeah.
But no, he had a good couple of more bits in it.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Jeez, it's hard, isn't it? With a film like this.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Trying to think what else. The costume designs were good. I'm really stretching at this point.
Wait. Yeah. Oh, okay. Certain explanations for certain things are actually well done, and I accept them. Even though when you look at it too much in detail, you're like, hold on a minute, right? But this and that and the other. But you when you watch the movie, you're like, you know why I accept it? Because for a good movie, sometimes you're like, for the sake of a good plot as well, and a well-performed movie, you're like, all right, fine, I'll let it slide. You know?
Yeah, I did it with most movies, but yeah, I get what you mean. There's certain things I was like, wait, okay, whatever, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, no, that's about it. Probably we can.
Yeah,
look, definitely watch this film.
Yeah, definitely. It had closure.
Yeah.
Set up some new things, which is pretty cool.
Well, okay, hold on. Here's the issue, right? I'm going to ask, and I don't know if you can answer it, but do you reckon people could come into this movie without having watched any of the Spider-Man movies before it?
No.
Okay.
Would you say opposite, or?
I would say, I'd like to watch it again, pretending that I've never seen anything to see, because it's Captain America: Civil War, and Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah.
Introduced the characters that were necessary to the story.
Yeah.
And you didn't need to have prior knowledge of them. Yes, okay. Yeah, background information to help, right? But the way they introduce them, why they do certain things, you're like, all right, makes sense. Here, I would like to see it again because they usually try to make these movies new viewer friendly as possible. Sometimes they actually can't.
Yeah.
Avengers Endgame, you have there's too much. There's too much stuff to have it connected to this, that, and the other. Though it tried to be, you couldn't really watch it without having at least watched Infinity War before it.
Yeah. I think with this you can't, because there's too many references and stuff that you come in thinking, okay, what insanity is all this? Because none of this makes any sense.
Yeah. It's true. But I'd like to give it. I'd like to do it. I mean, I want to watch it again, anyways. But I'd like to think, all right, like if I hadn't seen anything before, would this be logical or not?
Nah. If you're too much of a cluster, you're like, oh wait.
Let's just say you were a kid born 5 years ago, right? And you come to watch this movie. Yeah. Your mind would be blown.
Yeah, it's the same. You're like, oh wow, this is too much. My brain.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Yeah, like I said, I'd love to see someone's first reaction, not knowing any of this. Like, okay, wow.
Yeah.
Huh? Sort of thing.
Exactly.
Uh.
Exactly. All right, cool, nice. All right, now onto the spoiler section of this film.
Yep.
Yeah, very good stuff. Very good stuff.
Yep.
I did like how. All right, how are we gonna go through it? Just gonna skip around, or?
Yeah, we'll skip around.
All right, so I did like how at the beginning where they re-showed Mysterio unveiling Spider-Man to the world.
Yeah.
And then they basically said, "Yep, he's a criminal."
Yeah.
Except that when they point out when they get Matt Murdock, oh yeah, I didn't expect him to be in it.
Yeah. That's another reason why I'm thinking that I was saying about before. You couldn't come into this not knowing anything because he's one of the references. You're like, oh, okay, he's Daredevil. Because if you don't know who that is, that whole part's kind of wasted.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it is and it isn't, right? Because you're like, they needed the lawyer to sort it out. But the fact that when the guy threw the brick through the window and he caught the brick, the brick is being aimed at Spider-Man for some reason. So whoever threw the brick must have superpowers to know who they're throwing it at exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, and Peter put his hand out to catch it as well. Like, all right, fair enough, but Daredevil. I mean, Matt Murdock, you would have. I'm just doing nitpick here, just for jokes though. You would have thought Matt Murdock would have known that Peter Parker could catch it. If it was going towards Aunt May, then it'd be more logical for him to catch.
Nah, just reflex, isn't it? That's what you call it.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. And like we said, anyways, how did whoever threw the brick knew where the exact position of Spider-Man, Peter Parker was for him to throw it so accurately? I mean, when you try throwing something, how accurate are you? You know,
never.
Hawkeye threw it. I bet you Hawkeye threw it. It must.
Yeah, it must. Or someone, a villain that's gonna reveal himself in the future. Who knows?
Yeah. No, but that was cool. Like I was saying as well, how long the legal troubles are, because basically, quite rightly, Matt Murdock says the physical evidence against the actual evidence against you is very he said she said.
Yeah.
Manipulated foot. Why not? So we can bury this. We can get it. We can get it sorted.
Yeah.
And because Shield connections and all that, you probably could legit get it.
Thrown out or whatever, innit?
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't sway. You know, when people see evidence, they can deny mentally themselves. You know how people are.
Yeah. Of course, people be crazy.
Yeah. But that's what we were saying. It must have been at some length of time, right? Because these things just don't disappear in a matter of days.
Yeah. I'm saying it must be like a year. Especially for a high thing like that, it would have been like a year.
Which is good because...
Oh, it is a year.
It is a year?
Because he goes back to school, doesn't he? And then at the end of the year, it's coming up to the college bit. So I'm pretty sure it's like a year.
Yeah. Wait, because Tom Holland is aging up.
Yeah.
He's about 25 in this film. Not that he looks old or anything like that, but when you look at clips of Civil War, you're like, wow, that's a child. Yeah. That is a child, and this is not a child. He needs to get out of the high school setting.
Yeah.
First of all, because he looks like built like a man. That's the other issue. Yeah. He's getting bigger and bigger. Not hugely massive, but he's like, okay, size is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was like, he needs to shift over to like a setting, a different sort of setting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when he goes to Doctor Strange to get the spell, like, okay, him and his besties, MJ and Ned, get rejected.
Michelle Jones.
Yeah.
Not MJ.
James Watson.
Yeah, that bit annoyed me, but yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
why?
Why do it? Why?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Only because they could do MJ Watson, right? Which is like, right, but you already established her as Michelle Jones.
Yeah.
And MJ for short.
Yeah.
So you literally are telling me this is MJ, Mary Jane Watson, but MCU version.
Yeah.
Right. But you already established that before. Why do you just need to?
They could have just left it.
Yeah.
Because we all know Mary Jane is her first name. double barrel first name, not
Yeah.
Michelle surname Jones.
Yeah.
It's whatever. I'm not gonna moan about that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever.
I took it as okay. Well, they're just doubling down on who the character's meant to be the alternate equivalent to. Not that they
needed to, but
yeah.
Whatevs. Sure.
I did like how when they were taken to custody, how the FBI agents were kind of manipulating their characters to get more information when they just started to talk to Ned about, so we heard that MJ said she found out Peter was first, and then Ned's been the bubbly kind of friendly guy he is. Oh no, I found out first, blah blah blah, and started volunteering information they didn't need to.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, yeah, that's
silly
a
boy.
neat character moment.
Yeah, silly boy.
Yeah. He couldn't stop himself, but that's the way he is. Let's see. So when Peter and they obviously have to apply for senior year colleges and stuff like that, get all rejected because of their association with Spider-Man, which doesn't actually, from the letters they're reading out, doesn't mean that they're not good enough for the college. Just due to the recent controversy, we cannot progress your application further.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of harsh, but yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And then Peter starts feeling bad for, all right, himself, fine, right? But the other two have nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
even though it's kind of like they were his wingmen, so to speak, and they helped him. But he could just he could actually legit deny everything because they weren't involved in what Mysterio was doing.
Yeah.
Or claim that Spider-Man did. So, yeah. And he goes to Doctor Strange right away and says, can you do a spell to wipe people's memories of Spider-Man?
Yep. This is when we find out that Doctor Strange isn't the Sorcerer Supreme anymore.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite
funny. So when he slipped away for 5 years and Wong was still around, Wong's like, yeah, I'm Sorcerer Supreme because he wasn't here to be Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, so I was like, that's quite funny. I like that.
Yeah. But then that leads to a point where Doctor Strange is like, and Wong tells him, do not do the memory wiping spell. And Doctor Strange says, oh yeah, no, I won't. And then he's like, because he's got a little bit of a rebellious streak as well. Of course I'm going to do it. I was going to do it anyway, but now I'm actually going to do it because you Sorcerer Supreme told me not to do it.
Yeah. And Wong was like, yeah, if you do, I don't know anything about it. I'm going away.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're not going to listen to me regardless of whether I am.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to do what you're going to do.
Because you're a dick.
Yeah, not that but that in a friendly way, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Peter tries to. All right, okay. So So he wants to wipe out people's memories of people of knowing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, right?
Yeah. That's
the spell.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it gets tricky with the wording sometimes. Yeah, so he tells Strange to do it. Asks Strange to do it. Strange starts doing the spell, and then Peter realizes, oh shoot, there are certain people that I would like to still know my identity. He keeps on making Strange interrupt the spell and recontinuing after he adds extra people each time.
Yeah.
And it marks up the spell because Strange can't contain it.
Yeah,
he has to keep on readjusting it. And I was like, oh, well, this is not very of a mature decision from Peter Parker. But I think because he's written to be portrayed as a kid, right? An 18-year-old at this point, right?
Yeah.
But they make him play younger than he is in certain aspects. Because you would have thought, okay, maybe if it was a 15-year-old or like a 12-year-old, you do this stuff without thinking, right? But there are consequences, and he knows at this point because he's been Spider-Man for a good couple of years now.
But he's still a kid, so...
Yeah, I know, but I was like... This bit I understand, right? The second time, a couple of times it doesn't, you're like, oh, Peter, you mucked up the first time, and now you're causing a bit of other bits. Fair enough, it's to progress the plot, but it's just like, you're like... I don't know. It wasn't a good idea the first time.
Yeah, but I saw it as you can't in a situation like that. You can't do forget. And then you're like, oh crap, but I need to do this. It's like for example, when you're going on holiday or something and you pack your bag and you're about to leave the house. Oh no, I forgot this.
Yeah.
Then you go back and then you go again. Oh no, wait, I forgot. And then it just keeps on happening. Then you end up getting to a place, realize you actually forgotten more than you thought you forgot.
Yeah. To be fair as well, the second time where he didn't want to so when the spell's contained and basically you have to Strange like just we'll push this thing and we'll reset everyone back to their original places, right?
Yeah.
And Peter doesn't want to do it because he knows the consequences. Like, that's fair, but they probably should have elaborated a bit more and made Doctor Strange a bit more unlikable in that instance. So you side with Spider-Man like as to why he's doing certain things. Because they did give Doctor Strange an antagonistic feel. So it doesn't harm him to push it a bit more, because he's going to make the face turn, the proper face turn back. Anyways, he just need to side with Peter Parker a bit more when he does these things. And you're like, But yeah, Strange does the spell. Things happen. No one knows what exactly. The Strange is like, wait a minute, Peter. You know, you could have just went to MIT or wherever it is, right, and asked for a discussion. Yeah. You could have just spoke to them, not necessarily even about yourself, yeah. But you could have spoken to them about your friends if that's the case, you know, not to have bias or whatnot. And he's like,
"You can do that."
You can do that. To be fair, he's a kid and he doesn't know, right?
Yeah, I find that funny that bit. I was like, it's true.
Yeah.
He doesn't have real world experience. This is hilarious. That's what I found funny about it.
That I accept that because it's like usually when you get rejection, it's a rejection anyways. You don't think to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But when it's certain circumstances, maybe you should.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like we're saying, he's a kid. He's not gonna know any better.
Yeah. And then this is when he has to call up what's his name, Flash Thompson, who I still don't get this character whatsoever.
Nor do I. I mean, look, I get what they're doing with I kind of get why they like how they modernized version of bullies, but it's not really. It's a bit better as the old school jock bully.
Yeah, and then it kind of makes you think, wow, the other two Spider-Man films had a better Flash Thompson.
Yeah,
because he actually had a purpose in life. But anyway. So then he has to call up Flash to find out where this MIT party is so he can speak to the lady of administrations, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, she just left. So Spider-Man chases her down onto one of the bridges in New York. Can't actually remember.
Yeah, she's going to the airport. That's how he knows where he is. And then he uses Stark Tech to narrow her down on the bridge.
I'm pretty sure this is the only time they use Stark Tech in this film. But then he finds her, and he's like, hey, we need to speak. She's like, nah, dude, I don't want to speak to you right now, you know? I've got a personal life. And then he's...
Like to catch it.
Yeah, then his tingly goes off.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they have the rights to name Spider Sense. I don't actually
know. Yeah, the Peter tingle, right?
Yeah. And he's like, wait, what's going on? And then... you see all these cards and stuff start flying up. You're like, hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? And then we hear a familiar voice that says, hello, Peter. And Peter's like, hey, I don't know you.
No, but that's the thing, right? Spider-Man's jumped back in the spider suit ready for this. That's the first thing we should mention.
Yeah.
He's saying, hello, Peter. Through the smoke. Digitally DH Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
Well done.
Like,
and he comes across as during this little bridge fight scene. He comes across as a major threat.
Yeah.
Like very capable. Like it's like his arms are being used very well because they go the distance and range.
Yeah.
To keep Spider-Man away, and then when he's kind of fighting Peter in a closer range, and he's on his own 2 feet. He's using all 4 arms to obscure like any contact to his face or body. I'm like, okay, makes sense. because he wouldn't want to take a punch from Peter, even though he does take a couple of them.
Yeah.
And I did find a funny bit where he throws Peter, like he sends Peter flying, and says, "Yeah, I should have killed your girlfriend," even though he's not referencing MJ, he's referencing MJ.
Yeah, the real Mary Jane.
Yeah, and then Peter pops up with what did you say? And his arms pop out, and then Doc Ock's like, "Oh, looks like we've got a little bit of competition." And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny." He didn't see that one coming.
No, I was like, "That's a good one. That's a good one."
But yeah. So power level wise, I think this Peter probably could take Doc Octopus really quickly if he needs to. But they had the MIT lady's car dropping and stuff like that to give the extra sense of urgency and distraction. Even though, like I said, Doc Ock did come across as a threat, I think one like punch from Peter would kill him probably.
I don't know, probably.
Yeah,
but then they kind of powered him up a bit in the original one. So
it's true. Yeah. Or you say Peter holds his punches back, right?
Yeah.
And
then so with this Peter, he'll hold his punches as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the route we're going for, anyways. Because, otherwise it could just end.
I don't know. I'll say he's powered up because he was getting like thrown into stuff and he was getting up. So. Oh,
because we're going to say it was the inhibitor chip. Yeah, unlock a latent potential.
Yes.
Physicality that normally wouldn't be allowed the way that your brain is currently wired. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay.
Some insanity.
Yeah. But he so I like the way that the fight ended as well, because it didn't make Doc Ock look like a jobber.
No.
He is like, so Spider-Man's wearing the nanotech suit, he rescues the MIT lady. Doc Ock captures him. See, I'm not sure about the strength of Doc Ock's arms, by the way, if Peter can bust out them or not, but we'll just pretend that he can't, right?
Yeah.
So he goes to he gets one of his arms to absorb some of the nanotech because he sees Peter's suit and he's like, oh, and he then powers up his own arms, right?
Yeah.
And then big mistake, because then Peter's like, wait a minute, this nanotech is my nanotech, and then he sinks the nanotechs.
Yeah, that was cool. And he's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and then Doc Ock can't do anything. He's like, right, well, you're wrapped up and just put you back on the bridge, done. And he's like, no, stop, we can't, no, don't listen to him.
I like that. I was like, that's a good one. Oh.
Peter rescues the MOT lady, brings her back on the bridge, and then she goes, all right, you know what, you're Spider-Man, you are a hero, I will reconsider. Then she turns over to Doc Ock and says, you're a very bad man.
Yeah, I don't need this.
You're not going to fight the catch. I'm like, woman. When he was like threatening you, you were cowering, and then all of a sudden, when he's tied up and can't do anything, you're mouthing off.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
No, but it was funny. It wasn't like to be do obnoxious. To be fair, it was actually kind of funny.
Yeah, it was good. It was funny. I found it hilarious.
Pumpkin bomb comes flying. Doc Ock says, Osborn, and then you see the Green Goblin, and then before the pumpkin bomb explodes, he gets walked back to the base, right? The Sanctum Sanctory, whatever, underneath the cellar of Doctor Strange's place.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Put the multiversal variants have their own cells. I say multiversal variants, but they built enough cells to house enough members of the multiversal variants, rather than you don't know how many are there. You just happen,
Yeah, and then this is when Doctor Strange's like, the spell I cast, because you broke it. It's brought everyone from every dimension who knows who Spider-Man is to this dimension.
Well, Peter Parker is who is Spider-Man. No, he's like, I cleaned up as much as I can. Some people squeaked through. We got to find these people and put them back.
Yeah, and then this is where we see the Lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man.
And it's good that they did that off-screen fight, because Doctor Strange came off with scratches and whatnot. It's like, oh, you know what? The Lizard gave him trouble in the sewers. It's fair enough. I mean, he had magic powers, right? But when you find something you don't know, in places you can't see, in a very confined space, it will keep you at a disadvantage. Yeah. So I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, he took a bit of damage, and that's probably why he was really, really hacked off at Peter.
Yeah, he was pissed.
Yeah, it's like, you caused the problem, right? You need to fix this stuff right now.
Yeah, and then he gives him that new web shooter thing.
That teleports them to the cells.
Yeah.
And I did like how Peter says, I need to, if possible, I need to have some help to do this. You don't mind if I bring my guys? His guys being MJ and Ned.
Yeah, I was like, you picked the worst guys. All right, sure.
Yeah.
Story, I get it. Sorry, all right, sure.
And and then I did like the magic word joke where strangers telling them just to do stuff. You need to capture those most variants, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And MJ says, "You're the wizard, right?" And he goes, "Yes." And he goes, she goes, "Yeah. I know a few magic words myself, beginning with please."
Yeah.
And then he says, "Okay, please get this done, right?" And I was like, that's kind of funny because she don't obviously know or hold them with reverence. Just some dude be nasty to them at the moment. Like, all right, fair enough. She
doesn't know that he can just wipe her mind in an instant. But yeah. And then this is after that when he goes to some electric site because they see some anomaly there.
Well, okay, so
if I'm correct,
they see anomaly at a certain electric site, right? Going towards a certain area, right?
Yeah,
that has the electric pylons.
Yeah.
Now, which one do you think they saw? Which anomaly? The Sandman or Electro?
Electro.
All right, and does Sandman just have to be there?
Yeah, it just kind of makes no sense.
Right, because unless they were like, we'll go to this one first because it has the biggest signal of variants, that because there's two of them there and they didn't know at the time. You reckon that made most sense? They just happen to be there, whatever.
Or this is me reaching, and it's a pretty big reach. That's where Sandman, in his universe, got his powers. That's why he ended up there. I'm just reaching.
All right.
I'm not too sure.
Okay. that could work. That could work. I did like it as well when Peter got teleported there. That what's it called? So he landed, and then the sand starts moving, but you see the electric pylons, so you're thinking there's Electro as well.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, where's this going? Like, who's he gonna? Is gonna have to fight? I thought, oh, Sandman right away, but I was like, wait a minute. Also, Electro, does he have to fight them both at the same time?
See, this scene, I was kind of happy because I didn't know any. Obviously I knew Electro was in it because Marvel sort of spoiled that themselves.
Yeah.
When they said Jamie Foxx, but I didn't know Sandman was going to be in this. So when he appears, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
And I like how they basically, because he was in a Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
Sandman was like, okay, Spider-Man, because he knew him from Spider-Man 3. He's like,
yeah,
what's going on? Like he wasn't an enemy right away. He was like, but we were on friendly terms last we were speaking, right?
Yeah.
Or we had mutual respect or whatever, right? And understanding. And Peter's like, okay, I don't know who you are, but we need to take this guy down because he's causing electrical problems.
Yeah.
And Sam's like, all right, I'll help you, boy. And he takes him down.
Yeah.
Reformed Electro, which looks like Jamie Foxx now, not like Jamie Foxx from 2014 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. There's a joke where he tried to zap Electro with the teleporter spider shooter.
Yeah.
And it hits a tree because it goes through Electro, hasn't fully formed yet.
Yeah.
And the tree disappears. So when the Sandman teams up with Spider-Man to take Electro down, and he zaps him away.
Yeah.
That was cool. That Electro goes in the cell, and then Sandman says, "What did you just do to him? Clearly you may betray me also.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm about to turn on you because you need to explain yourself, but you're not explaining yourself very well, right? And then he zaps him as well. It's like, okay, it kind of makes sense because you're like, new world, new area. You don't even know what he's doing to some other person.
Yeah. It'd be naive if it's like, okay, that's cool. So let's be friends still. Yeah, you would kind of like.
Yeah. I mean, look, all he knew at this point, Sandman, was, I want to get home to my kid. I'll take this guy down. You knock him down, he's on the floor, fine, right? But that's not the case. His body disappeared somewhere.
Yeah.
And I could barely keep the sand for myself, so I don't want that to happen to me. Except that obviously it does happen. It gets zapped away.
Yeah.
Into the cell, and then you have the 4 villains, quote unquote villains.
Yeah.
Because
also we've got to say that Spider-Man's got a new costume, kind of. It's just his old costume turned inside out.
Yeah. Because someone threw paint on him.
Yeah, and he couldn't get it off because he's a child.
Yeah. So then the villains in the cells start discussing with each other why certain things are the certain ways. So everyone who hasn't seen the films can get as much lowdown as possible, even though, I mean, look, I don't want to say they're throwaway sentences, can they not? But they are compressed information.
Yeah. That
needs to be done pretty quickly. Though, to be fair, the way they do it makes sense because if they're all from alternate universes or different timeline of those characters, right? Then they would know certain history about the previous villains and then could fill in the audience as well.
Yeah.
And each other. So what? Okay. When is Lizard from?
Amazing Spider-Man?
No, but when? Because he's back in
this is one of the things I didn't understand about the film either.
Yeah.
Because why did it take him out of that point of time rather than later on? Because if it's later on, he wouldn't be the Lizard anymore because he got thingy.
Unless, of course, we're saying later on in his own timeline, he started to try to do more Lizard stuff.
Anything, but then this is like another problem when we get to it later. I'll explain as well that I thought was a bit weird. But so I'm saying, it doesn't. That's the only thing I can think of, like you said later on.
Okay. All I can say at this point is probably this is some time between the time he found Peter Parker's camera.
Yeah.
And before the time that he tried to turn everyone into lizards.
Yes. Plot convenience, I guess.
Yeah. Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus must be. Look, I'd like to say it's from the point where he broke the machine, the whatever it is, the power of the sun, the power of the planet. And that walked him into the alternate universe at that point, where he fell into the water. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a weird time to do it. But that's
but it has to be because he has to know Peter Parker's Spider-Man at this point.
Yeah.
Sandman must be after Spider-Man 3, sometime after Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Right? And Electro, first of all, when did he ever know that Peter Parker was Spider-Man? Yeah.
But
it's clearly after Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I think he knows.
No, he doesn't.
I need to watch Amazing Spider-Man. I'm going to watch it again this morning, but I forgot.
No, he doesn't know because there's a tail-end joke that he... Okay, first of all, this is how I'm going to justify myself.
Yeah, wait. This is confusing now. Yeah.
Right. So, this is how I'm doing it. He doesn't know what Peter Parker looks like, right?
Yeah.
All he knows is that at the end of Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker, Spider-Man used the electric web thingamajig and overloaded Electro, yeah?
Yeah.
And then Harry Osborn came down.
Yeah.
To fight Spider-Man, and then Harry Osborn knew who Peter Parker, he worked out who Peter Parker was. So we're going to allow the remnants of Electro hearing that conversation. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, because it's still electric. It still be alive in electric form, just not recomposed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That substation.
Technically, he, like you're saying, he probably didn't die.
Yeah.
He just lost.
And all he does know is
the name Peter
Parker. Dude called Peter Parker, because that's what Harry Osborn mentioned.
Yeah.
That is Spider-Man, but I don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Now, obviously, people like, okay, so conveniently, there's only these people that know Peter Parker that happen to be in the other movies, right?
Yeah.
What about other people that know Peter Parker as Spider-Man in other alternate universes? Well, let's just say this, right? They might be around in the MCU.
Yeah.
At this point, but they're not causing trouble, and there's no way of bringing attention to themselves if they're random people. Like, say, just for example, Mary Jane from the original Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Around. Well, how's she going to get information? How's she going to navigate the world to the point where she finds out what's going on? She'd just be that around there in the city somewhere.
Yeah. Same with the butler from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
He knew who Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Yeah, so...
Yeah. So, I was quite surprised they didn't get one of the Harry Osborns. And and if they did, they probably should have got the... I don't know if you liked him or not, the Dane DeHaan...
I didn't mind him.
Yeah. But if they got the James Franco one, it'd just be like, well, Norman Osborn and his son, right? But if you get an alternate version of Harry Osborn, it'd be a bit more of a... different exchange. But at this point, they probably just didn't have enough. Like, they were like, well, we've got quite a lot of villains already. We don't need all these extra ones.
Yeah,
we've got Goblin already. We don't need the second Goblin, and there's no reference to Harry Osborn.
Yeah,
in this universe.
In that universe, yeah, which I was quite disappointed with, but yeah.
Well, there isn't a Harry Osborn. Doesn't mean that Norman Osborn didn't separate from his wife, and his wife used her maiden name.
True.
All right. Yeah. So, is this a bit where? Okay. So then so all of them are there. They speak to each other about this certain things about how each of them. Okay. So Dr. Octopus died, right? He gets informed by Sandman he dies.
Yeah.
Sandman himself looks like he's withering away as well. So we'll just assume that he's not got a good fate ahead of him.
Yeah.
Lizard informs Electro that he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lizard's the only survivor of these four, which makes Spider-Man quite a lethal protector, right? Yeah.
He's not Venom. Yeah. So they start bugging out and stuff, don't they?
Yeah. But then I think Peter gets a call from Aunt May.
Yeah.
And no. This is okay. So first of all, Norman is landing in some alleyway, right?
Yeah.
And the Goblin speaking to him. The Goblin.
Yeah.
It's great stuff, by the way.
Yeah, I love that bit, man.
Very well done to William Dafoe. I mean, like, of these guys, I think Jamie Foxx was the most character change from Electro to his Electro to this Electro.
Yeah.
We will say this, right? When he reconstituted himself, he reconstituted himself to the most idealized version that he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why he looks so different. If you can change the way that you look to the best optimal version of yourself, why wouldn't you do that? Or subconsciously do that anyway.
Yes.
But he comes across as much of a different character. However, you can say this is what happens when you glow up, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I accept it as the next step.
Same.
Of the Dr. Octopus is a continuation of the character, though.
Yeah.
Which I found really good because it's like, he's completely consistent.
Yeah.
Same with Norman Osborn, which is strange because you're like, oh, damn, this was like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, it is at this point. Yeah, it is.
They get rid of the mask. It's like he puts the mask on, the Goblin's talking, and he smashes the Goblin mask. And I was like, well, that does two things. First of all, people slate the mask, first of all.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, yep, they're getting rid of something that people moaned about. Yeah. Yep.
And then it gives him, later on, when he goes to Feast, where Aunt May gives Peter a call and says, yeah, one of them variants you're talking about.
He might be here.
Yeah, he's here. And so when Peter runs over there as Spider-Man, he sees Norman wearing a purple hoodie with a dark green coat on top of it. And I was like,
I see where they're going. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay. And William Dafoe acting really well as like a guy who don't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of some of like dementia or Alzheimer's, how he was sort of going on. I was like, oh, that's quite sad.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
The fact that he just happens to go to Aunt May's place, Aunt May, who knows who Spider-Man is, okay, fine, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah. But then he's looking homeless and whatnot, so he'd go to the nearest whatever homeless shelter.
Yeah.
So I think so. He takes Norman to the Sanctum Sanctory, and then he's got everyone that's multiversal breach, as far as he knows, right?
Yeah.
And Strange pops back, says, "Yep, we'll do the spell then." And Peter's like, "No, we won't, because they're all gonna die if we do."
Yeah, and they're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And Strange's like, "Nah, dog, that's not my problem. You know, these people need to go."
That's their problem. They're villains, right?
Yeah.
They're killers. They're evil people. They do evil things. Let them be. They, don't alter their timelines. And they have a little tussle because Spider-Man doesn't want to press the spell button, and Strange does. And I do like how the fight went as well. No, it wasn't really a fight, but how the skirmish went. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he pushes Peter Parker's body out of, so he pushes this astral plane version of himself out of his own body, but his spider body is still moving autopilot because of the spider sense. I was like, oh, great stuff.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then, you're saying the spider sense was still going off and he was out the body. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, reflexes, just get away from danger.
Yeah.
And they do some wacky mirror dimension stuff. And you're like, well, Peter Parker, you're screwed. You don't know. First of all, you don't know magic, and you're swinging around. But how can you compete with a guy who's just throwing trains and stuff at you, like manipulating stuff? He beats it with maths.
Yeah.
Geometry. And I was like, oh, this is actually really good because it works for the characters.
Yeah.
He's never going to be able to do anything in a world that he had no knowledge of.
Yeah.
But he can apply the science that he knows to it because it's just manipulating the area to a certain degree, and he works out exactly what he needs to do to get Strange to get in position so he can manipulate the sling ring.
Yeah.
That's really good. And then he pulls the sling ring off Strange and leaves him in, dropping down through the open portal for ages.
Yeah.
And then he hands it. Does Ned take it or does he hand it over to Ned? I think Ned goes, "Oh, what's this?" and he just takes it.
Yeah, I think that he thinks he leaves it on a table somewhere, and Ned goes, "Oh, what's this?" and takes it.
Yeah. Because first of all, we know how geeky Ned is. He would do that. So it's actually in character, and he puts it in his hand for some reason, like because he saw Doctor Strange and he's like, "Oh yeah, just muck about with this."
Yeah. If it was papering.
And then it's like, okay, here's the plan, MJ and Ned. You take this, right? I'm going to try and cure these guys. You take this, you press the button if I message you to press it. Otherwise, because that means obviously these people are out of control and we need to send them all back.
Yeah.
Fine. That's done. Peter takes them to Happy Hogan's facility, which is where they're based now because, they can't rent an apartment or whatever because people are just trying to
kill them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Harass Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
And so Electro can feel the arc reactor calling to him.
Yeah, which I thought was cool. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But then Peter's like, look, I'm a scientist, right? Norman's a scientist, right?
Yeah.
We will cure Dr. Octopus, and now we have another scientist, right?
3 scientists, they're going to help us. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we will all be able to help you guys because Electro's, what's he, a researcher, scientist? I'm not sure exactly what he is, right? Because he seemed like one of the jabronis that just happened to be worker. No, like an engineer or something, but like not quite.
Now, I think he was smart, but because no one gave him a chance because of how he was. Because I've even later on, someone says something to him, you're like, oh yeah, he was a engineer. He was quite smart.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't. Okay, first of all, they probably were like, let's go through the numbers, let's go from that one to that one to that one, and then we can find the best way to do this one, this one, and this one.
Yeah.
So, so they come up with an inhibited chip.
Yep.
to fix Doctor Octopus's rabbit tentacles.
Yeah.
And that's some class acting by Alfred Molina, where he finally he's like, the voices are gone, and he's like back to normal, and he's like, oh, praise be the Lord.
Yeah. He has a divine intervention. Yeah.
But yeah, he does it like completely opposite of how I did it, by the way. I did it loud and proud. He's like very quiet moment where he's just finally like, I've got my own sense of mind now.
Yeah. I've been fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, they start building stuff to help Electro, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That the electric charger-ish.
Yes. So it will take all his extra electrical powers.
Yeah. And keep it contained.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's fading in and out. No, like, he's turning into bursts of electricity.
Yeah.
They couldn't bring the lizard into the apartments though, because obviously it looks like a lizard. They left him in the trunk upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is where Sandman and Electro kind of swap their stories. Like, oh yeah, how did you turn into Electro? I fell into a chamber full of electric eels that we were genetically modifying.
Yeah.
Yourself? I fell into a what's it called? Whatever chamber they're doing planning for.
Yeah. A hyper collider or something like that. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then both look at each other like, yeah. They fall into random places, right?
Yep. I was like, that's funny because it technically literally is what happened to both of them. Yeah. I was like, oh, cool back.
So, so they're getting this stuff. The three scientists are working on stuff.
Yeah.
And then Peter Parker's spider sense is going on, and Army's like, "What's up, Peter? Something strange." And then Peter's like, "Right." So Doctor Octopus and Green Goblin are following back into the main area, like into the lounge.
Yeah.
And he's like, Peter's looking at Electro.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Are you looking at me like that, boy? Like as though you're gonna ruck, yeah?"
Yeah.
So he's like getting ready. And then Peter just is like, okay, something else, P. And he closes his eyes and he just randomly shoots a web because spider sense. He's allowed his spider sense to guide him. And he webs the normal rules from Green Goblin to something. It's like, yes,
to the wall. Yeah,
it's you. What's wrong with you? Yeah. And then William Dafoe changes to his goblin face.
Yeah.
Like the goblin smirk face, that crazy smile.
Silly Peter.
Yeah. Against normal Oswald's weak. You're gonna send everyone back to die. No, I wouldn't allow it. I want to live. All these people want to live. It's actually made a speech that made everyone turn heel. I'm like, that's. Oh, not necessarily heel, but out for themselves.
Yeah.
You can't be trusted. You can't, and even if you can be, you're gonna send us all back to die anyways. So you use logic. Funny enough, right? You use true logic. And everyone was like, right. And Dr. Octopus, though, staying true to characters, like, no, you can't. Look, we can sort this out, except they literally then blast him away out of the building.
Yeah.
And Sandman and Electro just kind of remove themselves from the equation.
Yeah.
And Goblin and like Norman Osborn and Peter Parker have a quite a brutal fight, actually.
Yeah.
I liked it. I was like, oh, this is like it's just pure power, kind of. Green Goblin making a mockery of Spider-Man, almost. Like Spider-Man getting good hits in, but Green Goblin like, bitch, please.
There's one bit about this made no sense.
Yeah.
Like the lizard made no sense because he broke out the van. I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then he climbs up the building and said to can't remember what he said to Spider-Man. And starts fighting him for a bit and goes. I'm like, why?
Yeah. The other thing, of course, is that so he powerbombed him and spine busted him.
Yeah, that was.
So the powerbomb that Spider-Man jumped onto Osborn with flying knees, right? And then Goblin caught, like, took a couple of punches to the face, caught him, and then powerbombed him to the lower floor.
Yeah.
Like, all right, because at this point, it's like the weight of a kid, right? So I can imagine that you can, if you're that strong, you can just do that, right? Because He's not heavy enough, anyways. And bit of the strength they've got, weight does not mean a lot to them.
Yeah.
But it's just the practical physics of it. Throws him out the window, Lizard beats him up a little bit, throws him back in. Normal picks him up, throws him in the ceiling, and then spine busters him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, Normal, you're gonna DDT yourself into the ground.
Hey man, he don't care.
He don't care. It's crazy anyways. Whatever, right?
Murder. Yeah.
At this point, Aunt May is running downstairs to get. She's got the device, right?
Yeah, to cure him.
And yeah, so Goblin's just beating the hell out of Peter because he's the man at this point.
Yeah.
And Aunt May's like, well, look, gotta help Peter. Gotta grab a piece of wreckage or something and try and
help him, whatever. But why this is all going as well? Not Foggy. That's a reference to another universe. Happy Hogan's on his way to the building as well.
Yeah.
To see what's going on because he saw supervillains in his house.
Yep.
Oh, we also forgot to say that the Daily Bugle started all this, by the way.
Oh yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
Like Jonah Jameson had one of his people tailing Peter so they can follow, and then I don't know what the actual plan was. Was it to expose Peter for being a villain, even though that's sort of already what everyone thinks because of what's going on?
Well, look, we don't know what the exact bias vendetta that Jonah Jameson has against Spider-Man, but whatever it is to find evidence to back up whatever theory he has, rather than allow the evidence to tell the story, because he's J. Jonah Jameson. What matters to him is that Spider-Man's a menace.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was another bit that was going on.
What's his name? What is his name? I forgot. The guy who plays Jameson.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons plays that really well.
Well.
Because you know he's a big mouth. Like the way he plays it, he's a bit of a big mouth.
Yeah.
And you know that he's all ego and bluster and arrogance. Yeah. So he's like, half the stuff he says might not be true, yeah. But his delivery and charisma is like top tier. Like, you know, it's almost hammy to a level you're like, you know, it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah. He's the iconic Jonah Jameson voice. Yeah.
So yeah, Peter's getting beat up. Aunt May's trying to help. Tries to distract Norman Osborn enough. And then Norman's basically like, watch, I'll make you look. And his glider flies into Aunt May. And then he goes, as the Aunt May's body's flying to the side, he's like, Norman jumps on the glider, goes, you did this, Peter, it's all your fault. Looking more like his his green and purple costume at this point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And Aunt May, because all the police got that like as the ruckus happening, Jameson, because he's there, he calls the police to the scene as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when Osborn is like, I gotta get going.
Yeah. So he flies away. And can't remember.
Peter helps Aunt May up, like, you're all right, and Aunt May's like, yeah. I'm just hit me pretty good. I'm kind of.
He's kind of tired.
Yeah. Kind of just sit down for a little bit, and then you're like, oh no.
Yep.
No.
Like, the emotions.
And Peter's like, I gotta get these people. Stranger's right. I gotta just let these people. They're evil. I gotta let them die. Gotta send them back to the universes, and whatever their fate is. I don't care
anymore. Yeah.
And Army's like, you can't do that, Peter. You saw some of them can be helped. You saw Doctor Octopus. You saw Norman Osborn. They can turn. But I gotta sit down a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then.
But it's your responsibility because you got the power.
Yeah.
Then he gets the obviously the saying.
Yeah. Great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. But yeah, and then he looks down. Aunt May's all bleeding out because of the glider. When the guy made contact with her, I was like, right, that's a finish, right? That's a fatality, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they're not. Maybe they won't. And then I was like, oh, damn, it is. It is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Oh, but it made sense that she was the one that told them with that the great power comes great responsibility from the sequence of events that led up to that point. It's not like it was just gender swap for the randomness of doing it.
So in this universe, I'm guessing Uncle Ben never existed.
No, I think Uncle Ben existed because he talks to Tony Stark about it in Civil War. I just don't think that Spider-Man had anything directly to do with the death of Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Or indirectly even as well.
Well, he could have, but he just didn't give him that saying. Yeah.
Or not that specific way as well, because he
Yeah.
does mention it to Tony Stark, just not the exact wording.
Yeah.
Then Happy Hogan finally arrives, and he sees all the people, like with the SWAT people, whatever.
Yeah.
Who are shooting, by the way, outside. They tell him to get away from the body. They start shooting at him. He gets hit. Happy Hogan drives his car in front of the shots. They tell him to get out of the way. He stays there. He nods at Peter to go, and Peter disappears.
Yeah.
All right. And then we go to the third act of the movie, you'd say?
Yes.
Okay. Where Ned and MJ are like, all right, well, I wish we could find Peter. We don't know what's happening. I want to press the button. And Ned's just Ned's just doing random hand movements. And the sling ring starts doing the dimensional teleporting thing. And they're like, do that again. I wish we could find Peter. And he's like, all right. And he opens up the portal, which, by the way, I like this idea of like, so the reason Doctor Strange can do it back in this movie is, first of all, he's a scientist. Well, I wouldn't say scientist, a doctor, but he believes in the way things are, not the world of magic, right?
Yeah.
So, no, like achievements in ignorance. That's the best way I can put it, right?
Yeah. Best way.
Ned doesn't know any boundaries of anything.
Yeah.
So he's able to access it. It's like you train with kids.
Yeah.
When you tell them to do something, right? And they do it because they're not aware of the danger of not doing
Yeah,
it.
of course, yeah. So Ned doesn't have that.
Yeah. But you know, like when we do wrestling, it's like you drop, and you're like, oh yeah, but that's gonna hurt, right?
Yeah.
But if a kid in gymnastics or whatever, okay, it's gonna hurt, but they don't realize what. Yeah.
They don't have that, like you're saying, that much sense of fear. Yeah.
So that's why I can believe, like, not that Ned had this ability randomly or anything like that. It's just like, oh, you know what? Fair dues. It does make sense when you look at a certain way. He opens up the pool. They see a silhouetted figure that they assume to be Spider-Man. Peter, come this way, come this way. And the guy jumps through the pool. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Yep, the best Spider-Man. Yep.
Yeah. And then they like preview Peter Parker. He pulls off his mask, and they're like, yeah, but that's not Peter Parker's face.
And like, okay, well, prove it.
Yeah.
So he sticks to the ceiling and like, well, crawl is like, you want me to crawl? This isn't enough for you.
Yeah.
So then he's like, okay, then he does it. I thought this whole interaction was funny.
I really do like the personality of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. He's consistent with his the movie personality, but he's got charisma to him.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like, for me personally, he's my favorite Spider-Man.
Yeah. And I think, funny enough, I think they gave him more to do character-wise in this movie than some of his other movies, where I don't want to say he got pushed to the background, but they had too many villains or stuff like that. Sometimes they didn't progress him too much.
Yeah.
But here he got to kind of like, show off his, I don't want to say acting ability, but more like his screen presence.
Yeah.
In a movie filled with everyone else, he stood out as well.
Yeah.
And they're like, right, but that's not the Peter Parker we're looking for, even though you're Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Even though you're playing a Spider-Man style costume as well, whatever, right?
Yeah, which is kind of a dead giveaway already, but all right, sure, okay.
All right, we'll look for Peter Parker. We'll look for Peter Parker, right?
Yeah.
Open another pool. And this dude steps out, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I say this dude because he's not dressed as Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, he's just in the, like a jacket and strap, just normal everyday civilian clothes. Like, oh, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, and there's a little neat sequence where he sees Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. That's not Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And then they're like, wait a minute, and they shoot their webs at each other for no reason, right? And then they do backflips, and then then Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man webs up the web shooter, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I'm like, why did they do that? But whatever, right? To be fair, it was more like a situation where you're unclear of who knows what and does what exactly. Yeah. And this is some random dude who's Peter Parker, but don't know if it's Spider-Man or not. But there's something off key about him. Yeah, that's probably why they did it. In the sense that they probably I don't want to say their spider senses went off, but they both knew something was off, not right. Yeah. Until obviously they're like, okay, you are Spider-Man. You're not just some random dude in the clothes. Yeah. And then. So they work out, they're like, all right, well, if I'm a Peter Parker, and when I have my sad moments of introspection, I go to this station. The Andrew Garfield go to the bridge where Gwen Stacy died, which is a bit, I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, it's like, ooh, yeah. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man going to the Empire State Building. Yeah. And they're like, well, your Peter Parker must also have somewhere, which is the high school, of course. Yeah. Why they didn't teleport him, I don't know. But they probably would have just maybe pulled some other random Peter Parkers out. So they're just like, well, let's shortcut it. Let's go to where we know who might be. Yeah. And then you have them all meeting, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man just kind of giving up and saying, I want to. Just get these guys just get all these jabronis away from me. Just press that button, wipe them all out. I'm just completely uncaring about anything. Yeah. Which is well played as well. And then all the other two Spider-Mans saying, look, we had it just as bad as you, and killing the people that killed your Aunt May is not going to help anything anyways, because we know, right? Yeah. Look, your original plan was to help these people. Let's just help these people. Yeah, that's what we do. Because with great power, ... Yeah, comes great responsibility. And then they're like... That's when both of them go, hey, your Uncle Ben told you that. Yeah, he told me that. Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah. Uncle Ben? Yeah. Uncle Ben told you that? It's like, who's Uncle Ben? That'd be funny, but who's Uncle Ben? Exactly. Yeah, so then all the Peter Parkers become science bros in the high school lab and saying, okay, so I know the cure for this person, right? And I know the cure for this person, yeah? Let's just work out from afterwards how we're going to deal with the other people, because we're all scientists. Yeah boy. Which is really good, because they get kind of like a bonding through that. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man just putting a lab coat over his Spider-Man suit for some reason. I find it funny. I don't know why. Yeah, I thought it was quite jokes. But we also found out that going back to the last bit where they're talking about the great powers ones being stuff, we found out that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is the one that's given up the most, really, because he's like, once Gwen died, I just stopped pulling my punches, and I'm in a real dark place. You're like, ooh. Yeah. So, but we'll say this, right? He never says he killed anyone, right? No. So I'm not sure. I'm sure that's not what they meant. What he meant was he just got a bit more aggressive in the fight before it begins, sort of mindset. He didn't turn into gun-happy Spider-Man or anything like that. Yeah. He's more the equivalent of Future Trunks, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's not like we don't need to fight these people. We can just finish. We can just end every. We can just stop the problems right away. Yeah. Pop them on the head. Yep. Bang. Yeah. So, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's like, all right, well, I'll deal with Green Goblin. I've had X amount of years to think of a cure for him. Yeah. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man said, I'll deal with the lizard. I already cured him, so I know exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. Dark Octopus we don't have to worry about, because as far as he's cured at the moment. We might have to fight him, but we don't need to worry about coming up with a cure for him. Yeah. And somehow they work out what they need to do for Electro and Sandman, but we're just going to allow that. Well, Electro is kind of...
he kind of knows from before, innit? So he's kind of
they would have developed something before, and they just got to enhance it, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a decent funny sequence where Ned's found something and he says Peter, and they're all Peters and they all respond.
Yeah.
And then Peter Parker, they're all Peter Parkers, they all respond. That doesn't help either. And they all do it in sequence, which is quite funny.
See, this is what I thought I was gonna do. He's Peter J. He's Peter whatever Parker, and he's Peter Sam Parker. I thought I was gonna do that little bit, but I didn't. Like, in the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
they do that. But yeah, Peter Ben Parker. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was going to distinguish, but yeah, no, it's fine.
Fine.
Yeah. So how they lure all the villains to a central location?
Oh wait. Also, they also start talking about little backstories to their movies, like Tobey Maguire says, I had a best friend. He ended up trying to kill me and became a supervillain. And Ned's like, oh, okay, cool. That's not weird.
Which is funny as well, because Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man didn't mention that at all. He should have said, I was like, why didn't he say something? Because he's right next to him as he's saying it. Yeah. And he could have said, was that Harry?
Yeah.
And was that Harry too? Because they had a little conversation about that, and they would have been just a bit more oomph to it, because it's like, if he's there and he's hearing it, why is he not saying anything?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think of that until that point.
Yeah, so
interesting.
This is where Ned, like you're saying, Ned's like, all right, once this all concludes, I promise I won't be turn into a supervillain. Yeah. And try to. And Tom and Spider-Man's like,
okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, now we have a plan. It's like, anyways, we have a plan, right?
Yeah. Moving on, sort of thing.
Yeah. So the plan is basically they go to the Statue of Liberty, like away from civilians, of course, because they knew exactly what happened when they were fighting in the civilian area.
Yeah.
I will. Okay, and then he sends a video as well, so everyone can see.
Send a video to lure him out, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. I've got the thing to send you back to your multiverses. You come here, right? And you can try and stop me, but you're not going to. Yeah, basically just baiting them, right? Cutting promo. which it is, he's kind of promo them to lead up to the big fight that we're all going to pay to see.
Yeah.
All right. Not that he cuts a promo like wrestling style, but basically just giving them the villains the lowdown for the location for the showdown.
Yeah.
And they all obviously come to. Well, the villains will go to that location because they don't want to die because they've been pressed the button, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah. All
the Spider-Men are there at the Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty being built with a shield, a Captain America shield on it as well, which is kind of funny. Yeah. All right.
Sure.
Yeah. The Spider-Men are talking about how their universes are slightly different. Tobey Maguire's got back problems. Andrew Garfield's never fought an alien in space before.
Yeah.
Organic webs,
Yeah, which is ill when you think about it. But yeah.
But they're a little bonding, a little bit more character development and bonding and stuff like that.
Yeah. I also did like the little interaction between Toby and Andrew when he goes, like, out of you three, I'm the worst. He goes, no, you're not the worst. You're amazing. And I was like, that's funny because he was the amazing Spider-Man. I like that. And then he's like, yeah, thanks for that. I was like, I like that part. That's pretty cool.
Well, to be fair, I think he's an underrated Spider-Man because he didn't get the best movies.
Yeah, because I think that they sort of, that bit of interaction kind of addressed that, innit? Like, no. You are good. You just got cut off from the legs before your movies could get to where they were. Yeah.
So Sandman, Electro, and Lizard make their appearances. The three Spider-Men tussle with villains that they can't, because they don't even know how to work with a team. They just having problems with each other as well, accidentally, of course. Not to the point where they're angry at each other, just like they're shooting webs and accidentally hitting each other and stuff like that, tangling each other up in their swings and stuff. And then they all they're like, backtrack. Sandman's causing a sandstorm outside, and they're like, all right. Tom Holland and Spider-Man's like, we need to work as a team, right? Do you guys have the Avengers? I'm in the Avengers. Do you guys have the Avengers in your world? And
that was funny. It's like, cool. Is that a band or something? Even a band?
What is the Avengers?
I love that.
And then this is where Tom Holland's like, all right, I'll take lead because I know how to work with a team, right?
Yeah.
Which is like quite like you would have thought. Okay, first of all, it's his film, right?
Yeah.
So you would have thought there have to be a reason why he's taken lead.
Yeah.
And this is the perfect reason.
Yeah.
Even though you could say that Tobey Maguire's one's got more tenure as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right? And you would have thought that the earliest version take the lead. It's like, well, this guy's film, first of all. And secondly, it makes sense the reason they've written him in. Why he's the youngest and he's leading them. Yeah. So all of a sudden they can work as a team, right?
Yeah, makes sense. After that motivational speech.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Like, yeah, exactly. All of a sudden they can coordinate, but they're like, all right. So I'm Spider-Man. I'm Peter 1, right? Tom Holland's like, I'm Peter 1. Tobey Maguire, you're Peter 2, and Andrew Garfield's like, oh yeah. That means I'm Peter 3. Yeah. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
And
again, it just proved that Andrew Maguire. So Andrew Garfield should have got more films, but yeah.
They work in conjunction with each other much better.
Yeah.
Let's put it. Yeah, they don't get in each other's way because they know which order of sequence they're going to do the villains in.
Yeah.
Rather than just separately trying to get the villains to the individual cures.
Yeah, which would never work.
But there's a sequence where Ned opens a portal because they want to see how the Spider-Men are doing.
Yeah. And
the lizard just jumps through the portal, and they do like the comic Scooby-Doo running back and forth between the portals.
Yeah.
Which Tom Holland sees, and it distracts him from where he needs to be. So he tries to deal with the lizard, and then comes back into part of the plan. While
I like that part as well because that's kind of an homage to Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yeah. When
he's fighting the lizard in the school, innit, and the whole Stan Lee bit. R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. And then Sandman's trying to drown Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in sand at the top of the Empire State Building. But Tom Holland then comes back in time to give him the cure, and they get Sandman. They deal with Electro as well, and I don't know why Andrew Garfield decides to take off his mask in front of Electro. Oh no, okay, right. Okay. First of all, I do get it, but at the same time, it's like, why? Not this bad thing. It's just like, all right. He doesn't know who you are, so why are you showing him who you are? But they deal with Electro. Electro depowers, and he's like, oh man, yeah. I'm just a nobody. I'm a brony, and that's why I kind of did the things I did.
Yeah.
And Andrew Garfield Spider-Man's like, no, man. You're a good guy. Just went the wrong way. But yeah, don't let that inform who you are going to be in the future. And then he takes off his mask. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
I know why he did it because it makes sense. So he shows that he's just a normal nobody as well. No one really knows who. People walk past Peter Parker because they don't know who he is.
Yeah. That makes sense in that. Like the story there were between the two characters works, but you'd have thought, you know what? You know how when people know your identity, that's when things go wrong.
Yeah.
And then he takes off his mask and goes, Electric goes, oh man, like you're from Queens, come from the ghetto. I thought you was black.
Yeah.
I'm like,
right. When he says it, I was like, he kind of has a point.
And then Electric was like, oh, sorry to disappoint you, man. Yeah. He's like, oh, no, it's just, maybe out there's a black Spider-Man somewhere. I'm like, Miles Morales again.
Yeah, I was like, good. They've already established he's in the MCU universe anyway, but hey.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and how they then they deal with the lizard. Not much to say about that.
Yeah.
Dr. Octopus. No. Before they deal with Electro, Dr. Octopus appears.
Yeah.
He grabbed the two Spider-Men are going to stop Electro. Electro's like something's off the they throw the trigger, Dr. Octopus catches it. And Electro's like, yeah, he grabs the two Spider-Men by the throat with his tentacles, Dr. Octopus. And yeah, Electro's like, yeah, you get him, you kill him, you deal with them.
Yeah.
Except that Dr. Octopus then jams the thing into Electro.
Yeah.
And he pouts him. I was like, oh, you know what? It's good because he didn't do it. He didn't turn, and it wouldn't be consistent with his character to turn either.
Yeah.
To lure Electro because he's a smart man into a false sense of security, and then just tear out the arc reactor and put the thing on him. And he did have a cool moment with Peter Parker as well, Tim Maguire, Peter Parker, where obviously he knows who Spider-Man is at this point, right? And it's like, oh, good to see you, Doc. Like Otto.
Yeah.
It's very, very respectful because he calls him Otto. Like,
yeah.
And when he takes off his mask, it's like, oh, Dr. Octopus is like, Peter Parker, you're all grown up. I'm like, yeah, he does look kind of. Wait, okay.
Does look kind of old.
Right, so firstly, how old do you think? So, Tom Holland, Peter Parker's meant to be 17, right?
Yeah.
How old do you reckon the Tobey Maguire version is meant to be?
In his 30s, 40s. I would say 30s, mid-30s.
I mean, he looks older than that, right? Because Andrew Garfield's actually in his mid-30s, and I think his character's meant to be. Well, look, we're taking to the point where they're aged from their last movies, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are because it's multiverse. Their timeline could be different.
Yeah. But I know why I say Tobey Maguire's older because he kind of says he is in the film.
Yeah. He also looks it as well.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Andrew Garfield, I say he's probably meant to be about 5 or 6 years older than he was in his films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 years old, not 7 years older or something like that, because that's how that 2014.
Yeah, I'll say about that. He's probably aged that wise.
Yeah.
So he's obviously in his 20s.
Yeah. yeah.
So yeah,
even though funny enough is Andrew Garfield's the actual age of Tobey Maguire that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's meant to be.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland is probably the actual age of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's so funny when you think about it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So Doctor Strange reappears. And he's like, look, this has gone on long enough. I'll deal with it. No. Yeah. But Norman Osborn comes, right? He grabs the thing, I think, and then they all try to get the item back away from him.
Yeah.
Strange grabs it back, and then all the Spider-Man look at Strange, going, no, because there's a pumpkin bomb inside it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Yeah. So Doctor Strange is, I want to say taken out of the equation there, but then he's got other things to deal with. Like, now he could just end this right away because he's Doctor Strange, but now he's got to deal with this multiversal stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
Like the breaches. So that keeps them out of the main fight, right? Which is fair.
Yeah.
The building starts to fall. MJ drops off the building.
I like this part.
Tries to save her. I'm sorry, Tom Holland tries to save her.
Yeah.
And you're like, he almost reached her. Goblin guy that hits him, sends him flying. Then Andrew Garfield jumps down to save her. Not the same way that he didn't save Gwen. He actually dives, grabs, and swings, lands on his feet. And
I really like this part. It made me get the feels. It's like, oh yeah, he finally got to save her.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh, you're right, because he's starting to have like tears, and he's like, I'm gonna be all right now, because it's like the guilt that he carried on for so long is like, oh, you know what? Yeah. Neat character moment there. That kind of needed to happen at the same time.
Yeah. His redemption.
Yeah. So, Goblin guy, the glider knocks over Spider-Man to the shield that's fallen. Inside the shield that's fallen over off the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And Green Goblin's like, Peter, right? I might have killed her, but you tried to kill him. Like, he's proper being a heel.
Yeah, he's
a slimy heel that you're like, just beat the hell out of him, Peter. Just kill him, man. Not to the extent because you don't think Peter Parker should be. He's just like, man, he's asking for it, Peter.
Yeah.
He's proper beating.
It's kind of justifiable, but don't do it.
Yeah. So, and they have a quite good, I want to say an athletic fight, but it's just like, for people with special abilities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've taken away the glider and the building, so they don't swing or anything like that. But they maneuver about as they should with people of that strength and agility.
Yeah.
Peter Parker does a neat flip power bomb.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was like, oh.
And then he's just punching the hell out of Goblin. Like they're bouncing around, they're moving around, and yeah. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield running there. It's like we're gonna get. Andrew's like, I'll get the cure, right?
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire's like, I'll help. I'll go down there and sort stuff out, right?
Yeah. I'll be the older brother and sort this out. Yeah.
Yeah, because Tom Holland's just beating up the Goblin, and I'm like, wow. He's like, he don't care right, at this point. He's just waiting on the guy. Now,
especially before he's at the start of this fight, he goes, I'm going to kill you myself. Like,
yeah, and I'm like, right, so he's I'm sure the Goblin's got enough endurance and stamina to take them punches, right? At the same time, it's like, Peter Parker, you took a beating before, right? Then you had to fight all these other villains, or skirmishers, or whatever you want to put it. Right? How much strength do you have left?
Oh, he's fighting on rage, isn't it? So, you know.
Yeah. Like, he's throwing punches, but how much full force are they? Simply because I'm like, you throw enough of them punches, right? The way you're throwing them, you would have killed him regardless of whether he had super strength or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he gets the Goblin glider and he's going, I want to, like, you know, he's like, Mortal Kombat, finish him. And Tobey Maguire jumps down there and stops him and grabs the the front of the glider to stop it from going down.
Yeah.
And they just basically look at each other like, and you can just see it's like, don't do this. It's not going to help at all, right?
Yeah, it's going to make it worse.
Yeah, exactly. And then Tom Holland's like, he understood that moment, and then all he hears is the shank sound.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
I saw that coming though. Don't know why. I was like,
well, but it kind of had to. It kind of in a vulnerable state. Why wouldn't the Goblin do anything? Because he wasn't KO'd or anything.
No,
like that.
And he's a dick, so he would do something like that.
Yeah. And then he flops to the side of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, not dead, but just like incapacitated. And then Goblin's like, this is all your fault.
Someone else dies because of you.
I'm like, man, you need to shut your mouth. You need to. Do you want to live or die?
But I think the Goblin, his greatest victory would be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Going against his morals, isn't it? So even if he died, he's won because.
No, that's right. Exactly. That's what. That's why. Not only that, that's the logic that's displayed because it's like, I'll take you down. And like, you can kill me, but morally, I've won. And not only that, I've dragged you to my level.
Yeah. You're no better than me.
Exactly. I'm like, oh man, that's why the performance was so engaging. It's like he's trying his utter best.
Yeah.
To tear this guy down. And then you see Andrew Garfield throw the cure at Tom Holland Spider-Man, who stabs Green Goblin in the neck with it in quite a vicious way, actually. So cures him, and then William Dafoe acting as normal Osborn, like, what did I do? I'm like, oh man, that's
guy.
Like,
what did he make me do?
Yeah. Doctor Strange fixes everything. He says, say your goodbyes. I'm going to complete the mind wipe spell because it's dead. Oh no, Peter Parker goes up to him and says, how do we fix this? Oh
no, because that's when we forgot to add that the dimension starts ripping. That's why he's got to fix this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, how do we fix this? And he goes, the only way to fix it is complete the mind wipe spell. And he goes, all right, do it.
Because they're all here.
Do the original version of the spell because the universe is at stake here.
Yeah, because all the ones that
get alterations,
know who you are coming to our universe now and is breaking everything. So we need to sort this out now.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, let me just say my goodbyes. So he goes, how long have I got? And he goes, you got enough to say your goodbyes. And then Peter's like, thank you. And then they go. He goes to thank the other two Spider-Men first.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield helping up Tim Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then when he swings off, Andrew Garfield's like, dude, you're in pain, aren't you? And he goes, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah. But I've been stabbed before. You're like, oh yeah, he did, didn't it? In one of the other ones, but I can't remember which one it was.
And he says his goodbyes to Ned and MJ, and then promises to remember them. But you know how it is; it's not going to happen. Yeah, and then the spell's complete. Boom. The people go back to the multiverses. No one. See, this is an awkward thing, right? No one, I think, remembers that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and the spell is so reality warping it wipes out evidence of Peter Parker being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it wipes out everyone. It wipes out Peter Parker altogether. So Spider-Man's always been around.
No. I think it's just Peter Parker. Okay, yeah, this is the oddity, right? This is the oddity. Because it says it wipes the original spell to wipe out the people that know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Not necessarily Peter Parker altogether.
No, he says Spider-Man. He says Peter Parker, not just Spider-Man. Peter Parker in general. Like Peter Parker never existed.
Yeah, exactly. It says yes. They see that as well. So it's like, because when it goes to the end, right, which we'll get to in a minute, it's like a bit murky specifically, but they probably left it that way so they could work out a backup plan.
Where they go next?
How they're going to approach the next movie. But yeah, so that happens. The spell happens. Peter's then walking around to the coffee shop where MJ works, trying to say, like he's written this little speech. You don't remember me, but my name is Peter Parker, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? He walks in the coffee shop. He sees MJ. Ned comes in. They talk about how they got in MIT, right?
Yeah.
The next page of the college. And he's like, all right, he wants to say stuff to MJ. He orders coffee, he starts saying what he's saying, but I think he just asks her, oh, what are you going to do afterwards? And stuff like small talk. And then he just chickens out. Not chickens out, but he just realizes, you know what? It might not be best to do this right now.
Yeah.
And
Of her life.
He goes off. He has an apartment by himself, a run down old apartment.
Yeah.
But he's studying for his GED, which is the General Diploma of Education or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, so as you were saying, and then he makes a Spider-Man costume, swings through the city. So
you also forgot a very big part we didn't go through.
Go on.
The whole Aunt May funeral bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Where he's at her grave and then Happy comes along and Happy's like, how'd you know her? He's through Spider-Man. He's like, oh yeah, me too. And then he's like, you can see Happy's sad about her death and everything. Yeah. It's like, well, it's nice to meet you. And he goes, yeah, quick kid, take care of yourself. And you're like, oh, that's sad because Happy was technically his like fake uncle at this point, isn't it? So it's quite sad that they never had stepdad sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of sad that that connection isn't there anymore because he doesn't remember anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh. His life sucks. So,
yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Look, okay. So I can see why they did the ending like the way they did, and I was like, oh, it's actually mighty convenient because contracts are coming up and stuff like that, right? You don't know how many people sign for how many movies. You wipe the slate clean. All you have to worry about is Tom Holland. You don't even need to have anyone else from these movies, the next set of movies, if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Mighty convenient. That's all I can say about that. But it works within the context of the movie as well.
Yeah. I saw it as well, like you said, it was like, they've also sort of done this just in case Sony don't want to do Spider-Man films, the MCU anymore. They've kind of wiped his connection to everyone in that. So they can sort of carry on if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But then if they do carry on making stuff with the MCU, they're still able to. So they want to put all their eggs in a basket tied to that.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
I mean, like, you could do solo Spider-Man movies without any MCU connection.
Yeah.
If they were to go that way. So that's fine. It's quite a bittersweet ending where it's like at the same time. Yeah. Well, great film overall. Very fun.
Yeah, great fun.
And enjoyable. And also kind of, quite sad at certain points.
Yeah. Quite sad.
They had good. They like you're here for the. It's an action adventure movie. You're here for the action. The action is done really good as well. The story's done really good. The Spider-Man characters, which aren't the main characters, were still written well.
Yeah.
And built upon the characters already.
Yeah.
Established. And yeah, I would say, do you have to watch all the other Spider-Man films to get this one? Kind of.
I'll say yeah. Even the old ones.
Not definitively, right?
Well, to get the most out of it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, I want to see it pretending I don't know anything about anything and see how that works. Because the first time you're watching, right? You're just trying to engage with the story and work out, not work out what's going on, but like, I'm here for the ride. And the second time, watching, like, all right, let me try to plug in the holes that, not necessarily the holes, right? But I might try to fill in certain things that I didn't see before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and our boy Venom appears at the end credits.
Yeah. Which I liked, but then it kind of made no sense, but made sense at the same time.
Yeah. Where it's like, he talks to, Tom Hardy's talking to a bartender, and he's like, right, so explain to me again what this stuff is with the items and this purple alien that wiped out half the population. Yeah. And then he gets warped out back into his universe, leaving some Venom there. But where we have to wonder, how does Venom? Why did Tom Holland's Eddie Brock get warped over? He don't know who Spider-Man is.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it made no sense to me. It's like, or they're trying to say that the symbiotes all know who he is because of something, but then that makes no sense either because the symbiote is
first of all, they said there was something about a multiversal hive mind, right?
Yeah.
And we say that Topher Grace's Venom knew who Spider-Man was, Peter Parker, which he did. Then all Venoms across the multiverse know, but then it's like, but...
That makes sense, but it's a bit of a reach.
Yeah. They should have established something a bit more clearly there.
Yeah. Because that makes no sense. But...
Yeah. Like always, look, Venom could have been a side adjacent story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the same way as the Netflix Daredevil show is.
Yeah.
Where you don't say specifically they're separate, but you don't say they're together at the same time. Yeah. And that way, it doesn't conflict.
Yeah.
Morbius has Michael Keaton in it. Mm-hmm. Who is he Agent of Tombs or not? We do not know exactly, right?
Yeah.
But Morbius also does the joke that I am Venom.
Yeah.
So does he exist in the Sony universe or the MCU?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it all weird and confusing.
Yeah.
But intriguing at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I reckon they're going to somehow bring that over because Sony see how much money Venom's making them, and obviously, Disney probably want to get their hands on that as well, so they'll do some weird arrangement like it did with Spider-Man, I reckon.
Okay. Yeah, so you're saying double thumbs up, yeah?
Yep, double thumbs up. End of an era. Great stuff. Okay. I like the Spider-Man costume at the end because it's influenced by all the Spider-Mans. So yeah. But
no credits. This is the trailer for Doctor Strange, but I can guess this is Sony Movies production as well. So they might not do the end credits as Marvel films usually do, which is fine. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Overall, double thumbs up for me. I'd watch it again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Nothing more to say about it.
No.
They tried their best, is all I can say, to not sell spoilers during the production of this film.
Yeah.
Because they deny. But at the same time, you're like, in the face of all the evidence, you guys are actors, right? You could just act your way out of it, right? Except that they seem to can't.
Mm-hmm. Gonna say, like, imagine none of those spoilers came out and watching this film. It would be amazing, wouldn't it? Be like, oh wow,
yeah.
He's here, but people just like to spoil stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I liked how Andrew Garfield, he just kept on saying, "No, I'm not in the film. I don't know what you're lot talking about."
Yeah.
So when I did see him, I was like, "Oh, that's cool. He is in the film. I like that." It was a bit of it was a surprise for me.
I always say he should have just said, first of all, right? The first thing he should have said was when they asked him questions like, well, I haven't had. Obviously, he's got to deny it. I haven't had a call from yet, but I don't want to speak about it in case they do call me. And secondly, if I am already in it, I've signed it. I must have clearly in these films you sign NDA, so I can't speak about it regardless. That way, it covers in both ends.
No, but then that makes it obvious.
No, because if he said, if he's waiting, he hasn't had the call and he's waiting for it, he doesn't want to ruin his chances. And Marvel films always get NDAs as well, so you can't,
Yeah. But like, if he addresses it like that, then it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, you tweak it you tweak it enough where you say, I can't say things one way or the other because I want to ruin my chances, nor if I am in the film, I can't say anything regardless.
No, I would have been, I would have done. I would have been a dick about it. Like, yeah, I'm in the film, the main character. It's all about me.
That's what Topher Grace did, by the way. They asked him, and he was like, "Yeah. It's all about my version of Venom."
Yeah, exactly. Because then people feel like this guy's chatting shit. So then we just leave it. Well, either way, yeah, respect to him for not giving it away.
Yeah, double thumbs up. Definitely go watch it.
Definitely.
Yeah. You're missing out. No.
I hear people saying this is the greatest Marvel movie. I wouldn't go that far, but is in the top 10. The top 3.
Yeah. Definitely one of the top ones.
Yeah. Strong film.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is intriguing as to how. I mean, this clearly leads to the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Which I'm excited
it's like
for
a Doctor Strange film that leads to that. It's almost a prequel to the Doctor Strange film as well.
Yeah.
But it does make sense in this film. It's not like they just did it randomly. It's not like they were like, all right, we want to make a Spider-Verse film. Okay, now we can make a Doctor Strange film from that. All right, let's go. Yeah, they probably seem to have planned it out.
Yeah. Even though I reckon
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
This is the only film I reckon they could show the X-Men, but not bring the X-Men into the universe. Like, because obviously they can show bits from like the Fox stuff, and just carry on, but not.
Well, they were saying because as you've seen Crisis on Infinite Earths, they had all those cameos.
Yeah.
Who's to say in the Doctor Strange film where you can have that stuff happen? Like they won't just get random cameos from actors that have portrayed, like Hugh Jackman just randomly appear for a cameo.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. But I don't want people to start saying, "Oh, this is how they're going to introduce the X-Men," because they're not going to introduce.
No. Yeah, just like I don't see why they can't have cameos if you just pop it into their universes.
Yeah, that's all they need, really.
Yeah.
So we will see. I think it comes out February or March. I can't remember.
Yeah. So I am the man who killed Aunt May. See my charm.
And I am the boulder that killed. Oh, wait, how did she got stabbed? I'm the knife that stabbed Aunt May.
So you're the guy. You're the glider.
I'm the glider.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. So I'm the man who killed her. You're the object that killed her, right?
I'm the true villain of this all.
Okay.
I killed them all.
Yeah. That was. The Goblin is a standout in this, I have to say. I mean, like, as much as the acting abilities of other characters, like, I like the Alfred Molina, Doctor Octopus and stuff like that. But the Goblin's a true bastard in this film.
Wait, I'm like, I don't know why I said wait like that. I'm glad that Goblin was sort of the main villain because he's always been Spider-Man's main villain, really, isn't he? And because they've established there's no Osborn in this, there's no Oscorp in his universe.
Yeah.
You won't ever get that. So I'm kind of glad that they've...
Not only that, but if there was an Oscorp, you know that Osborn would have went in there and tried to take it over.
Yeah. But like, hey, you don't look like our Norman. He's like,
Yeah, but I don't care.
Plastic surgery.
Yeah, you know that if he walked in the Oscorp in the MCU and someone did that to him, so he'd grab them and just throw them through a wall or something like that.
Yeah,
and
then jump the table and go, like he did in the first Spider-Man film.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that kind of made me sad that there's no Oscorp in this universe.
Maybe later, like we're saying. Maybe they'll find that. There hasn't been, they didn't say that there's no Oscorp. Did they say there's no normal Osborn?
Yeah.
Did they say
he goes, I come to this world, then Oscorp doesn't exist. You're like, oh.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean there's no normal Osborn.
But then...
That just means that he hasn't established the company yet.
True, but then, like, in every universe that he's ever been in, Oscorp's been around for ages before he became a nutcase. So it's like, kind of, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but...
Yeah.
We will see how it goes. Or they could always do as Osborn died, but it's his wife that's the owner of a multi-billion weird tech company or whatever, and she becomes like the female Green Goblin or whatever.
Yeah. The Goblin Girl? I don't know how they're going to do that.
Or in this world, it's a woman and she took a husband name. You know what I mean? They could find out a smart way of doing it.
The Green Goblet.
Yeah. Or the Goblin Queen.
No, but I think that they could work around it.
Yeah, they could.
Like Harry's taking the maiden name on. He tries to resurrect his dad or whatever, is like his dad's died. Who knows exactly, right? But there's a way to get it working.
Yeah, there is a way.
Or they could just retcon it as though he's like in Amazing Spider-Man 2 where he's dying.
Yeah.
They could retcon it like Norman Osborn does exist, just in a facility of whatever, so there's no records of him because Harry's trying to keep him alive. A bit like the game as well, where Norman is keeping Harry alive and Harry's done the trip to Europe.
Yeah, but I think with that, it's like Harry would be Peter's age. Or then you change the dynamic where he's older, but then it doesn't sort of work the same.
Well, well, whatever they're going to do, right? Whatever they're going to do, got loads of options.
Yeah, got options. They can do
it. All right, cool. Yeah. That's us signing off saying definitely watch this movie, yeah?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Cool. So...
Yeah, this was a long one. Just realised that as well.
Sorry?
Just realised this is a very long episode as well. But,
yeah. So that's what we're closing up now.
Yes.
Thanks for taking a trip around the multiverse with us.
Yep. All the usual stuff. Thanks for listening. Like and share the podcast, everyone. Let us know your thoughts on Spider-Man and his amazing friends. And would you like to see more Andrew Garfield like I would? But yeah, until next time, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
And I will crush that Spider-Man, and then that other Spider-Man, and all the Spider-Man, till I'm the Spider-Man. Spider-Man, we're at it again. This time with 50% more Spider-Man. Oh, yeah. Not quite a bug, not quite a man. How do I break out from the Spider-Man clan? I wanna be proud, I don't wanna hide. Don't trap me in a cup and put me outside with all those